I'm not a poet. This is prose. I've always found poetry to be far too difficult. Teacher of the Year. Our painted white address numbers at 1974 Prince Street were covered in pink strings of gore. A mess of blood and fur sat on the brick step above. My hands gripped hard on the plastic grocery bags, anticipating Lisa coming around from the other side of the car. She made a moan at the sight and lost control of her bags. I watched her grip diminish, as if the energy in her hands had to be recruited to the muscles of her face. The contorted expression was visceral, reminding me of sex when it was good. Oranges rolled under the car. A milk carton broke a corner against concrete, spilling a slow stream into the grass. I looked to confirm that the eggs were safe with me before setting everything down to take the next logical step. It was a cat, cut open clean, right down the middle of the belly. Whoever did it pulled out the entrails for effect, perhaps appreciating the pink on white contrast with the address numbers below. As I stared, tinkering the body with a stick found at arm's reach, I realized something. I heard a familiar voice in my head, a refrain from years of nightmares and sudden daytime panics. It's only an animal. What is it? Lisa said, startling me out of my realization. A cat, mostly. What do you mean? It's all ripped up. Probably a possum got it. I lied, turning to face her but still crouched over the animal. She had her bags back together and looked more composed than I felt just then. She came closer. Well, how did it end up on her steps? I didn't want to honestly answer this question. Doing so would involve Jimmy, and I never told her about him. I think it's my fault. I paused to process. Factual information should be top of mind. Bullshit is often not. I saw this cat last night and I left some food for it. It looked like a stray. She started toward me to take a look for herself. A close-up view would make it hard to believe an animal could have done it. The symmetry was human. It's only an animal. You don't want to see this. I stood up to block her view, hands held with stop signs. It really is disgusting. Maggots and... She took the bait, averting her eyes as she walked past. I followed Lisa inside with my set of groceries, doing my best impression of calm. I wanted to get rid of the body as soon as possible. I'll take care of the cat. You got this? I turned away before she could answer and headed to the garage for supplies. As I shoveled the corpse of the cat into one of those big black landscaping bags, I looked across the street and down the block both ways. I thought Jimmy might be out there, watching the whole scene through binoculars, covered in suburban camouflage. He would have found it hard not to laugh at Lisa's reaction, like something out of a movie. He would have made assumptions about her, how she was weak, just like all the others. This thought made me smile for how incongruous it was with the reality. Lisa probably dropped the grocery bags for effect, in the same way she spit out soda while laughing. I had learned to appreciate the melodramatic with her. The last task was to spray the spare bits of blood and tissue from the step. Even after a good 2 minutes of solid work with the highest nozzle setting on the hose, a faint half-moon shaped stain remained. Once the pan started to smoke, I took 2 chunks of marbled beef and laid them down on shimmering oil. The color changed from pink to gray and finally to a dark textured brown. Lisa was talking, but I filtered the content in the way you learn to do in a long-term relationship. I added affirming sounds in what I thought were all the right places. What's wrong? Nothing. Why? I flipped the steak and hoped to float back into the polite but detached conversation. You're acting weird. Like you're really inside the steak. No, I trailed off. My bullshit generator wasn't working. For a few seconds, no one spoke. I thought there was a chance I'd avoid further inquiry. Is it the cat? She said. Yeah, I guess so. It's not every day you find something dead on your front porch. She came from behind to massage my shoulders. My eyes were still glued to the steak, observing the color change. Maybe it sounds insensitive, but I don't know. It's a circle of life kind of thing. I mean, we domesticate these animals, but the possum or whatever, it has to eat too, right? I was glad Lisa was satisfied with her Lion King-esque explanation for the dead cat, but the worry I felt was consuming. The success of a lie normally feels good, but threats to your safety outweigh it. We chewed our steaks and drank red wine from a box without saying much more. She mirrored my relative silence and didn't pepper me with questions that she knew would provoke one-word answers. She looked up to smile from time to time in between bites. I'm sure she was gauging my facial expression to see if she could make some kind of joke about the situation. She wanted to comfort me, but I couldn't be honest enough to let her in. We went to bed early. She kissed me on the neck. I couldn't get hard. Jimmy's little message continued to do its damage over the following days. I started leaving school early to make sure I beat Lisa home from the clinic. I told her I was getting tired of all the politics with administration, how I couldn't grade with a clear head with them buzzing around. Every time I turned the wheel onto our street, I scanned the road, the sidewalks, and finally the front of the house. What was the next step, Jimmy? It's only an animal. Going through the mail, I found a VHS tape-sized package addressed to Lisa in small block letters. It was the draftsman-style handwriting Jimmy always tried to emulate. With a rattle I could confirm without opening, it was indeed a tape. I should throw this away, I said to myself while opening it in the same breath. I should throw this away. The blue screen came up on the television as I hit play on the VCR. I took my standard position, ready at the tracking buttons in case the image wasn't clear. From blue to black, with no sound yet. I braced myself, alternating between the screen and the time counter on the VCR. 1 minute in with nothing showing, I looked at the clock. Lisa would be home in 10 minutes. I stood up, moved back, and clicked the fast forward button on the remote. Luckily in plain sight for once on the coffee table. The machine buzzed along, the counter rolling past 10 minutes, then 20. Lisa opened the door to find me red-faced, finger locked onto the fast-forward button, wielding the remote control toward the TV like a gun. I yanked my head over to her and back to the TV and tried to sound normal, likely failing. Hi, just found this tape. What? Lisa closed the door slowly behind her. She looked nervous. Oh my God, is it porn? What? Not at all. I mean, oddly enough, it came in the mail. Why do you look like I just caught you watching porn? You're sweating and you look out of breath. The tape ended with a loud click. There was nothing on it. No harm done and no reason I couldn't let Lisa review the evidence. The package is over there on the floor. It was addressed to you. I smiled as I came up with a good line. If you ordered a porno for yourself, then you got taken. The tape is all blank. At this point, my lack of sleep correlated directly with the realization that the current trajectory of lies and covering up wouldn't keep us safe from Jimmy. I saw possibilities of him everywhere, not just on my way home. When you haven't seen someone for 15 years, the possible faces they could have are almost endless. The janitor, the guy next to me in traffic, any man roughly my age could be Jimmy, with the filter of my own fear applied. In one such moment, the guy stacking sardine cans at the store made me jump. Realizing it wasn't him, a thought crossed my mind. I just hoped whatever physical ill Jimmy planned wouldn't hurt Lisa. I hoped the tape wasn't a warning about the things he could tell her. It was a Saturday when I saw the real him. Lisa took the car for an afternoon of shopping with her nurse friend Susan. I watched the car disappear around the turn and pan my head to see him walking toward the house from down the block. Maybe he assumed I was with her. Maybe I had a chance to catch him in the act. I grabbed the biggest knife we had from the kitchen and raced back to cower behind the front door. It's only an animal. It would be self-defense. I waited, heard him climb the steps, not attempting to sound quiet. He knocked in that irritating way. Rap, tap-a-tap-tap, tap-tap-tap. Brant, Come on out. It's me, Jim. In one slow motion, without thinking through the consequences, I stood up, turned around, and unlocked the door. I knew you were home. Come on now. I stopped. Come on, I just want to talk to you. Knife at the ready, displayed in my right hand. I swung the heavy wooden door open to find Jimmy right there, holding the screen door open with his back. Brent, what's the knife for? You think I'm going to hurt you? Back off! I tried to sound authoritative, but likely didn't. Look, the only one of us that hurts people is you. I don't hurt people. Put the knife down. Maybe your neighbors will get the wrong idea. He looked the same. 15 years didn't mutate his face or add to his waistline. Jimmy was taller, if anything, more muscular, but overall the same guy. Jimmy had a charisma, and even in this circumstance, it's probably what made me lower the knife and back away from the door. I stammered, "What do you want, Jimmy?" "You're putting me in a very bad way with..." "Really?" He shut the door, but didn't advance. "How'd you know I was back in town?" He smiled. "Funny you should ask. I say your reputation preceded you, so to speak. I was sitting down at the diner, the one near the shelter on Green. Some fat, bald fuck just got done with his paper. I never read the thing personally, but somebody told me I should. I had some time to kill. What the hell, maybe I could use some edification?" He kept smiling. It all seemed rehearsed. "Page 1 in the local section. Teacher of the Year, Brent Anderson." I said to myself, "No way! No way!" He laughed. "Do they know how sick you are, Brent?" I stared and realized I was within reach of the knife still. It reflected a patch of light onto Jimmy, right at his heart. "Don't worry, I guess that was a rhetorical question. But I'm really hoping by the end of this we can be friends." "I don't see how that's possible." "The cat you left? You're the sick one, Jimmy. I've moved on." He quit smiling. "I really wish you hadn't said that, Brent." Still in denial. I'll let it slide, though. Anyway, point is, I see her the fucking teacher of the year, and I think to myself, man, that guy made good. He really did. And me? Well, let's see. I went down to Panama with the Marines, got a Silver Star for some fucking reason. I don't think they knew the whole time I went with this little whore girl named Marcella. We do coke and then we'd fuck. She'd complain I sweat too much. I did the mental math on the physical moves required to get the knife in hand. I could grab it and lunge, probably before he could react. So I know I did some bad things, but I get this little medal, and I'm moving up in my command, and then all of a sudden the whole thing shuts down. I'm thinking, my shit's about to come in, the special assignment they were promising me. But you know what? When you get special assignments, they do this little dance with guys in crew cuts and cheap suits. They send them out to all your friends. You got a visit from these guys, right? I did. And what did you tell them? What did you tell them? I do believe that you know the answer. I told them the truth, Jimmy. Oh, really? That's good. Did you tell them how you would hold them down for me? Did you tell them you were a sick fuck too? Or did you leave that out? Jimmy, don't call me Jimmy. I'm a grown fucking man. We stared at each other. He switched his face back into a smile. You were worried about me getting violent with you, huh? Well, some of us have some integrity. Some of us wouldn't hurt a human being and ruin his life, you know? What do you want, Jimmy? I just want you to say you're sorry to my face. And I want you to feel something for once. Lisa? Is that her name? Does she know how sick you are? Teacher of the year. He shook his head. I'm sorry. I really am. I'm sorry for it. Guess that's good enough. I couldn't believe it. He eased off of the door, turned around and started to open it. Just so you know, I'm not into that anymore. I got that cat from some guy through the paper. It was already dead. I said I was taking a correspondence course in taxidermy.